JJK Season 3, Episode 6 just dropped. Let's talk about it. Now, the big focus starting point of this chapter was Megumi and just, the involvements of Megumi and Panda. And Megumi basically just infiltrates the Fight Club and finds his way up into the attic area of the place, right? Or like there's the highest level. And then same with Panda. Panda just fights his way out of, wherever he was. And then he gets up there as well. And when they finally meet, they see Kirara there. And, Kirara recognizes Panda because Kirara was at the school of JJK. So by recognizing Panda and Megumi, they start fighting because they realize, okay, this is an issue. And this is also when you see Kirara, call Hakari to be like, hey, there's something going on, which is what we saw last week's episode where Hakari was like, when my phone rings, that's Kirara mentioning that something's going wrong. There's something up with this, right? So great touches there to just show like in real time what was actually happening on Kirara's end of things. And then Megumi and Panda just start fighting Kirara. And Kirara's cursed energy is pretty interesting, right? The curse technique that Kirara uses is very complicated, but I think it's very much simplified within the anime, which I think the anime did a great job of like visualizing and depicting everything that's happening with the curse technique. So that was really cool, but let's really dive into what it really does. And right before that, I thought a really funny moment before all of this was the fact that Kirara was asking them, if you guys aren't from Jujutsu High and like you guys need our help, why do you guys need our help? You guys have Gojo. And then Megumi's response is basically, Gojo got sealed. We can't depend on Gojo. And Kirara just doesn't buy it. And it's true. Who's going to believe, if you weren't in Shibuya and saw what happened, no one's going to believe that Gojo got sealed. That's just not a concept in anyone's brain that Gojo would be on like the losing end of anything. So just the fact that Megumi says Gojo got sealed, Kira's like, okay, yeah, these guys are bluffing. Like they want something else. There's an ulterior motive to all this. So that was hilarious. Now to get on topic of Kirara's ability, Love Rendezvous works in a specific way in which, to put it simply, you cannot get close to a certain thing or a character or an area depending on the star that you have been assigned and the star that other things have been assigned to. Basically, maybe that's even complicated, but it's to say that there is a constellation, which is the Southern Cross constellation, and Kirara uses that constellation in order to create a pattern in which things can get close to each other. And if you do not follow that pattern, then you are basically infinitely going to be not moving towards that area, right? So we saw Panda trying to run after Kirara, and Panda could not get close to Kirara because Panda was not following the correct constellation pattern. But then you saw that Panda and Megumi were able to get close to each other because they had theories along the side, which was really cool to see, right? The characters just theorizing on what this ability could be. But they were able to get close to each other because their patterns matched in the order in which they had to go. And that is to say, the Southern Cross, as Tengen explained it, who is, as you guys know, the narrator of the story, Tengen explains to us how basically the constellations in the sky, they might look like they're a flat surface, like the Big Dipper. You can just draw out the Big Dipper in the sky. But there is depth to all these stars. And basically, depending on those depths from Earth, that is the constellation pattern that you need to follow. So I'm going to butcher all of these, but bear with me. The stars include the Imai, the Akrux, the Mimosa, the Jinan, and the Garkrux. Maybe I just killed that. I don't know, but I felt like I killed that. Let me know if I killed that. I don't know. That sounded right. But basically, if you are the Imai star, right? If Kirara assigns you the Imai star, then the Imai star, which Panda was, Imai star can get close to a Krux star because that is the next one, right? After Imai comes a Krux. That's why Panda was able to get close to Megumi, and they were able to get close to each other because they have finalized that pattern. Next for a Krux would have to be Mimosa. So if you get close to the Mimosa star, then you're able to get closer to the next one, which is Jinan, and then if you get close to the Jinan star, then you can get close to the Garkrux star. So all of that just enables Kirara to create distance between things. And that's why we also get the scene where Megumi sends out the bunny that has the Akrux star on it, and it goes and hits the parking lot little stone there, which was Mimosa. And then from there, they were able to get to the next stages and basically reach the final one, which is Garkrux, which is actually, if you guys saw in last week's episode, that was Hikari's door. On Hikari's door, it showed the star with Garkrux on it. So that just means that, there's the final place to get to is Hikari's door because they want to make sure no one enters that room, right? Because Hakari just doesn't want to be bothered. So great stuff. Love the fight. It was amazing. The animation was done amazingly well, right? You just got a bunch of like cool stuff happening where it was like gravitational pull, but at the same time it was like distance and like basically like kind of like Gojo's like limitless, where things couldn't get close to each other. Amazing stuff. I mean, I have said this before to my friends, but I feel like JJK's power system, it's not as good as Nen. Obviously, Nen is like the best power system to ever exist in an anime or just in general, right? Nen is a phenomenal power system, but JJK reminds me of like what Nen was, right? It has the same feeling of Nen. All those like cool, obnoxious, amazing, like how did this author think of this level of abilities where you're like, that's sick, and it just matches like what that character is, right? It's cool stuff. It's amazing. So shout out JJK for just having a cool power system. Not as good as Nen, but very close. And funnily enough, by the time we get Kirara to agree to help us convince Hakari, this is when we get Hakari and Itadori just flying out of the room, right? Itadori gets punched by Hakari, flies out of the room. Itadori's all bloodied up, and you're like, what's happening? And Itadori, throughout all of this, just taking hits from Hakari, right? Just accepting the punches, accepting all of that. And then Hakari's basically like, show me your passion, like show me something, right? And then Itadori's like, nah, I'm just a cog. I am a cog in the machine that is meant to be here just to eradicate curses. That is all my life is worth. Because you guys, again, have to remember, Itadori is literally traumatized from what happened in Shibuya. We will never see season 1 Itadori again. He is absolutely destroyed in the core center of himself, and he has basically lost himself, and he sees himself as what he portrayed against the Mahito fight, where it's like, I am just a person who is here to kill curses, and I don't care anymore. I will hate curses until the day that I die. He does not care about anything else except for taking out curses. This is his own main goal, and all he wants Hakari for is the power in order to take out more curses, right? They have an objective with the culling games, and they just need more power, and he's like, I don't have passion. I am a cog. I just need your help. And as Hakari was about to land another punch, he starts realizing, like, this is the passion of someone who is a cog. And he's loving it, right? And Kirara is the one to, like, bring Hakari to his senses, basically, and be like, Hakari, this is heating you up, right? Isn't it? And then Hakari's like, yeah, I can't lie about this. This passion never lies, right? I am willing to like fight alongside Itadori. So amazing stuff. Hakari actually, admitting to being like, okay, I can respect this. I can go along with this. And he's like, okay, come on down. Let's cut a deal. And now Kogane breaks in and interrupts all of this, saying that a new rule has been added. And this is the new rule that states that players can now see the name, the points, the rules that the player has added, and the colony that they're in. This is a rule that was added by this player named Kashimo. And Kashimo even states that, people are weak today. 400 years ago, it was better. So, okay, this dude's from 400 years ago. And you see a little bit of electricity in his hair, too. So, a little bit stuff there. But Kashimo, is basically saying, I need to find Sukuna. And also, he's just trying to find some strong people. And he's saying, to find these strong people, I need to know these people's names, these people's points that they've acquired, because if they're acquiring points, that they must be strong. But if they've added a rule, they wouldn't have enough points. So I need to know the rules they've added, so I know that they're like 100 or 200 because of the points they've added. So if they have 2 rules or 3 rules, 300 points. So he can deduct how many points these people have and what colony they're on, so he knows who the strongest is, right? So this is some great stuff, and I love seeing Kashimo. Finally, Kashimo gets animated. Hajime Kashimo. Not Hajime no Ippo, but Hajime Kashimo. So, shout out this great ending, and I cannot wait to see what's to come. One more thing to add is I had to go back and check, but Hakari was on screen for exactly 4 minutes and 11 seconds this episode, which, if you know, that's peak. I love the fact that they did that. That's a great touch. So, shout out Mappa for that. I love that. And let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought about this episode. Did you guys like it? Did you guys dislike it? Did Kirara's ability confuse you? Did my clarifications help? So let me know. I'm interested in what you guys think. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.